Wasn't like a good find at the thrift store. But what happens if that good find turns a little bit sinister? Christopher had a knack on finding great products at the thrift store. He would find products with tags on them. He would find sports gear. He would find vintage paintings. He can sell for more money than what he bought them for. He even knew that on Sundays was the best time to go to the thrift store for the new products that would be coming in. Watching a particular show, I'm going to show it on the screen. Now, I have no credits to this show, neither does Chris. The story is just based on the fact that he watched this show and he got fantastic. After watching the show, Christopher decided to look for a vintage quilt that had that similar 1930s feel to it. I paid that Friday and decided to go on Sunday to go get that quilt that he was determined to find. And luckily, when he got there, the first thing that he saw through the door was the quilt. With no questions asked, he walked over to the register with the quilt and put it on the counter. Cashier said the most oddest thing to him. He said, "Wow, this quote gets sold really, really fast. Well, I'll see you here next week." Of course, like anyone should, Chris asks the cashier, "Why are you saying that?" And he says, "Well, because they always return this quilt. It's like bad luck or something because everyone returned it after a few weeks. It can't stay with one owner for long." And of course, Chris says, "Well, this quilt is staying with me. It's not going anywhere." Chris gets home and he starts researching the proper ways to clean the quilt. Since, of course, it had many owners previous to him, he wanted to make sure he washes the quilt correctly and he doesn't damage it any further. Then it's already damaged. After washing and drying his quilt, Chris decided to hang out on the couch in his living room and watch the show that I showed you guys previously. Watching the show, he swears he can hear somebody in his room moving things around, but there's nobody home, just him. His mom had stepped out and his sister wasn't home, so he couldn't understand who was in his room. He gets up, pauses the show, and he goes into his room and there's nobody there, but he did see that his closet door was open. In the light of his room, he checks his closet and there's nobody there. As he's closing the closet door, he can hear somebody run past him in the hallway, so he looks back frightened and he says hello, and he doesn't hear anybody there. So he decided to walk to the living room, and as he's walking towards the living room, hear the show playing, and he's like, "Wait a minute, I know I paused that show." So as he's coming around the corner looking towards the couch, he can see someone underneath the somebody underneath the quilt, but it makes no sense because he knows his sister isn't home and his mom isn't home. So he still decides to call out his sister's name, and he says, "Jessica, what are you doing underneath the quilt?" And no answer. He gets closer to the couch and says, "Jessica," and no answer. So he starts to get a little tense. "You're scaring me right now. What are you doing? Why are you underneath my quilt? Can you answer me, please?" And of course, there's no answer. He says when he went to reach for the quilt, his hands were shaking because he was so scared, because he knew he was home alone, but he really wanted to convince himself that Jessica was there, or it was his mom, or whoever it was, or maybe somebody broke in. He didn't know, but he reached over for that quilt. And when he reached over for that quilt, the quilt fell flat on the couch, as if whoever was in it just evaporated into thin air. Chris could not believe what he just saw, and it all made sense to him why the cashier kept saying that the quilt always comes back. He made a conclusion that the quilt was haunted, because there's no way that his house is haunted. Nothing weird has ever happened in his home, and he just kept staring at the quilt like in disbelief, like this cannot be happening to me right now. Is backing up slowly away from the quilt that's on the couch now, laying flat. He said that he can hear someone humming down the hallway towards him. He looked, there was nobody there at all. At that point, he had it. He grabbed the quilt, drove to the thrift store, and said, "You guys can have it. I don't want it anymore." What do you guys think it was? Do you guys think the quilt was haunted too? Or was this all in Chris's head?